What happens when a high-ranking politician dares to challenge the very foundation of European authority? Can Viktor Orbán's audacious speech in the European Parliament signal the beginning of a seismic shift in power dynamics across the continent? As Ursula von der Leyen sits before him, can the old guard of the European Union withstand the tremors of change that are clearly in the air? In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel, HotPoint, give it a like and leave a comment of at least 7 words, and if you feel like it, share this video with others. It will really help my channel. Thank you, and let's keep going. Tension hangs thick in the European Parliament today as Viktor Orbán delivers a speech that could forever alter the landscape of power in Europe. It is a moment that no one anticipated as the Hungarian Prime Minister boldly calls out Brussels, delivering a challenge that resonates deeply within the chamber. In a room packed with politicians, cameras poised to capture every expression, and security personnel with taut faces, Orbán's words strike a chord that echoes far beyond the immediate audience. This is not just a routine address. It is a clarion call indicating that the system is starting to crack under pressure. Behind the scenes, a much larger game is unfolding, one that affects us all. The European bureaucracy, long perceived as a suffocating force that stifles economic vitality and common sense, has just received a jolt from within its own ranks. Ursula von der Leyen's reaction is telling. Her facial expressions reveal a growing awareness that this could be the beginning of the end for the old order. The stakes are high, especially as European elites have recently made a series of decisions that seem increasingly detached from the realities faced by their citizens. Prices are soaring, businesses are struggling to survive, and ordinary people are facing dire financial straits. Now, for the first time, we witness a crack in the monolith of power. Orbán's critique is not merely a protest, it is an invitation to change, as he opens a door that many in the parliament seem eager to walk through. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, and it becomes evident that something significant is underway. Political analysts are suggesting that Orbán's remarks may ignite the formation of a new coalition within the European Union, particularly as the Visegrad Group rallies behind him. What we may be witnessing is the dawn of a fundamental restructuring of European politics, as national interests take precedence once again after decades of globalist agendas. As he presents alarming statistics, each figure he cites resonates like a hammer blow against the fragile facade of European stability. Inflation is soaring, energy prices have skyrocketed, and living standards are plummeting, all contributing to a systemic crisis that can no longer be ignored or glossed over with polished political rhetoric. Von der Leyen's discomfort becomes palpable, particularly when Orbán addresses the real consequences of the sanctions policy, not for Russia but for Europe itself. The stark numbers he shares, an 8-fold increase in gas prices, a 6-fold rise in electricity costs, paint a grim picture. Small businesses are closing their doors by the thousands. The question lingers in the air, demanding an answer that no one in the room dares to provide. As European politicians mull over their next moves, a new geopolitical reality is taking shape beyond the confines of the chamber. While Brussels debates further sanctions, trade routes are shifting, and Russia is strengthening its ties with China, India, and the BRICS nations. New payment systems are being developed, challenging the structures upheld by SWIFT and reconfiguring the global financial landscape. Orbán speaks candidly about these developments, warning that Europe is losing its competitive edge as businesses relocate their operations to Asia. The weight of his words hangs heavy in the room, creating a tense silence punctuated only by the nervous tapping of fingers on desks. Then, in a surprising turn, Orbán shifts his tone when addressing von der Leyen directly. He speaks of the necessity for dialogue, for finding common ground, and insists that it is not too late to change course. In this moment, even the most skeptical lawmakers begin to listen intently, recognizing the depth of the changes taking place. The atmosphere in the chamber thickens as Orbán's words seem to resonate beyond mere political discourse. They reflect a genuine concern for the future of Europe. What unfolds next captivates even the most seasoned journalists, prompting them to grab their notepads with newfound urgency. Orbán's subsequent remarks open a new chapter in European discourse, revealing a political drama that is hard to ignore. Von der Leyen, usually composed, cannot mask her tension as Orbán addresses the disconnect between European bureaucracy and the pressing issues facing citizens. His examples are stark: escalating energy prices, diminishing living standards, and the growing influx of migrants. Each argument he presents strikes at the heart of the matter. There's a noticeable shift in the room. Many deputies nod in agreement, acknowledging the truth behind his words. As he tackles the contentious issue of democratic values, Orbán highlights the double standards that plague European policy. Whispers ripple through the audience, but the majority remain fixated on his message. The most dramatic moment arrives when Orban calls for a reform of the decision-making processes within the EU, advocating for increased transparency and accountability to the people. His closing statements resonate like a battle cry, asserting that Europe must embrace renewal or risk losing the trust of its citizens. These powerful words linger in the air, creating a moment of reckoning for all present. It is a fascinating interplay of political dynamics, and the audience is left to ponder the implications of Orban's message. As he asserts that the EU must reconnect with its roots and better understand the real struggles of everyday citizens, he challenges the Assembly to reconsider its priorities. This is more than just criticism, it is a call to redefine the very essence of the European project. Orban's speech has the potential to be a turning point in the history of the European Union, expressing deep concern for the fate of the continent and a desire to preserve European values. Each phrase he articulates resounds throughout the vast chamber, captured by journalists eager to report the unfolding drama. The next day, his speech will make headlines across Europe, stirring discussions and debates among citizens. Dear viewers, we invite you to share where you are tuning in from and what your thoughts are on these events. How do you perceive the implications of Orban's speech for the future of Europe? What changes do you think we might see as a result of this bold challenge to the status quo? Your insights are invaluable as we navigate these turbulent times together. What happens when Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary, transforms a routine political monologue into a riveting dialogue? Can a single speech crack the impenetrable facade of European political cynicism? And what happens to Ursula von der Leyen, the Iron Lady of the European Commission, when confronted with the raw truths of her policies? Let's dive into a political drama unfolding in the heart of the European Parliament, where the atmosphere shifts and the stakes rise. Viktor Orbán stands before a captivated audience, his words resonating deeply, compelling politicians to rethink their decisions. His voice doesn't merely bounce off the walls, it penetrates into the very consciousness of those present. You can see the expressions on the faces of the deputies changing as he speaks. The quiet murmurs and nods of agreement signal a shift. The armor of political cynicism is beginning to crack. Cameras capture every poignant moment of this historical speech as millions around the globe witness how one man can alter the very fabric of European political discourse. The most striking aspect of Orbán's address is the evolution of Ursula von der Leyen's demeanor. When Orbán touches upon specific failures of governance, the once impassive mask she wears begins to melt away. In her eyes, you can catch glimpses of something profoundly human, a realization of vulnerability, or perhaps an awakening to the depth of the issues raised by the Hungarian leader. This is not just a speech, it becomes a moment of truth for European politics. Orbán discusses topics that typically remain behind closed doors, exposing the real impact of decisions on people's lives, the chasm between Brussels and ordinary citizens, and the urgent need for honest dialogue. A heavy silence descends upon the chamber. It becomes clear that returning to the status quo after this speech is no longer an option. Too much has been said, too many truths laid bare. Experts agree that Orbán's speech may represent a pivotal moment in EU politics. His straightforwardness and uncompromising stance in defending Hungary's national interests evoke both respect and concern among his peers. Many European leaders are now forced to reconsider the balance between overarching European values and the sovereignty of individual member states. As the tension builds, Orbán pauses significantly, altering the tone of his delivery. His voice drops, evoking a sense of anticipation. Each person in attendance senses that something significant is about to be revealed, something that could shift the trajectory of European politics. He begins to share stories of families devastated by unemployment, of the consequences of sanctions against Russia, and of pensioners struggling to heat their homes amid an energy crisis. Entrepreneurs are depicted as casualties of bureaucratic red tape, and suddenly the members of parliament are not just passive listeners, they are emotionally engaged. You can see the realization dawn on their faces. Behind every political decision lies a human story. Orbán meticulously dissects the ramifications of the sanctions policy, illustrating how it impacts ordinary Europeans rather than merely targeting Russia. Von der Leyen's tension is palpable. Her expression betrays a tumultuous inner conflict. It's difficult to ignore the truth, especially when presented so compellingly. Orbán argues that the EU's approach to the Russia conflict has resulted in soaring inflation and a declining standard of living across Europe. His words serve not just as criticism, they are a clarion call for re-evaluating the EU's course. urging a return to common sense and concern for the well-being of its citizens. Judging by the reactions throughout the chamber, his message resonates with many parliamentarians, even those who once held opposing views. Some deputies exchange glances, silently questioning each other. What if he's right? This rare moment sees political disagreements yield to undeniable facts pertaining to the welfare of everyday people. At this critical juncture, Orban showcases an impressive flair for political dialogue. Addressing von der Leyen directly, he emphasizes that his critique isn't a personal attack, but rather a call for constructive change within the European community. The impact of von der Leyen's reaction astonishes everyone present. Her eyes well up with tears as she reaches out in a gesture of respect and understanding. This moment crystallizes itself as a turning point in modern European politics. The chamber, accustomed to dry formalities and polished rhetoric, bears witness to an authentic exchange of human emotion at the highest level. As Orban steps down from the podium, he doesn't merely leave behind a speech. He opens the door to a breakthrough in political culture. The atmosphere is charged with a blend of respect and inspiration. Even the staunchest critics of Orban find themselves acknowledging the strength of his arguments and the sincerity of his position. This is a defining moment in European politics. It's remarkable how one speech can transform the mood of an entire political body. Orban touches upon critical issues facing contemporary Europe: the migration crisis, energy security, and the preservation of national identity amidst globalization. His words, delivered with genuine conviction and an unusual blend of populism, resonate even with adversaries. As the event draws to a close, the audience's engagement is palpable. Those who once scoffed at Orban's views can no longer dismiss the validity of his stance. The message is clear: even in the highest echelons of power, there is room for genuine emotion and honest dialogue. As he exits the hall with a subtle smile, Orban leaves an indelible sense of change in his wake. Today's address has proven that sincerity and humanity can coexist in politics, a lesson for all who believe that high office requires cold calculation. Experts have already hailed this event as the diplomatic breakthrough of the year, emphasizing the rarity of such moments of authentic emotional connection between adversaries. Political analysts suggest that this style of interaction could set a new standard for the European political arena, where respect for opponents is valued more than tactical victories. Now, I invite you to share your thoughts. From which country are you following this remarkable event? What's your perspective on Orban's boldness? Let's engage in a conversation. Comment below, and let's see how far and wide our audience extends. Is it really possible to find genuine moments in the political landscape of your region? Can we expect sincerity from figures like Vladimir or Maria when they stand before the cameras? In an era dominated by spin and manipulation, how do we discern the truth amidst the noise? As I delve into the world of politics, particularly in our region, I often find myself questioning the authenticity of the narratives presented to us. The political arena seems to be a stage where performances are carefully orchestrated, leaving little room for the raw, unfiltered emotions that make us human. On my YouTube channel, HOTPOINT, I seek to explore these themes further, examining whether we can uncover those rare, honest moments amidst the often chaotic and scripted political discourse. In my latest investigation, I focus on the individuals who shape the political landscape. Individuals like Vladimir and Maria, who have become synonymous with both hope and skepticism. Their speeches are meticulously crafted, aiming to resonate with constituents while often missing the mark of true connection. Are they merely playing to the crowd, or can we find glimpses of authenticity in their statements? Take, for instance, a recent rally where Vladimir addressed his supporters. The energy was palpable, and for a moment it felt as though he was speaking from the heart. But then, just as quickly, the familiar rhetoric returned, and I couldn't help but wonder if that fleeting moment of sincerity was simply an illusion, a brief departure from the rehearsed lines that usually dominate his speeches. Similarly, Maria, known for her fiery debates and passionate pleas, often teeters on the edge of genuine emotion. During a recent interview, she spoke about the struggles faced by everyday citizens, her voice trembling with what seemed to be real concern. Yet, as the cameras rolled, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just another performance, one designed to evoke sympathy and rally support rather than a true reflection of her feelings. As we navigate through these complex narratives, it becomes essential to ask ourselves, are we witnessing authentic connections, or are we merely spectators in a political theater where emotions are manipulated for gain? HOTPOINT, aims to peel back the layers, revealing the underlying truths of political communication and encouraging viewers to reflect critically on the messages they receive. In a world that often prioritizes style over substance, it's vital to remain vigilant and discerning. We must question the motives behind the words spoken by our leaders and seek out those rare moments when sincerity shines through. As I continue this exploration on my channel, I invite you to join me in seeking the truth, challenging the narratives that pervade our political landscape, and striving to foster genuine connections within our communities. Together, let's uncover the sincerity that often lies hidden beneath the surface.